In 2019, South Africa accounted for only 1% of global exploration expenditure and only 0.1% of greenfields exploration. Why is this? There is a lack of transparency in the permitting system. There are delays in the issuing of permits. We see continued regulatory uncertainty. There is a lack of properly structured tax incentives for individuals and/or entities to invest into exploration in South Africa. The ability of the industry to sustain jobs is going to be dependent on whether the industry can attract sustaining and capital growth. And an urgent action on economic policy reform and certainty to encourage the flow of this capital cannot be overstated. As you are aware, the economic crisis we face as a country was not created by COVID-19. It existed well before the pandemic. The only way we as a nation are going to exit the downward spiral trajectory that we are currently on is for the president and the entire cabinet to realize South Africa must become a competitive investment destination in the top quartile of the World Economic Forum competitiveness rankings. And then they need to back this up with decisive action. We need material, structural, and institutional reforms to stabilize the fiscus and public sector debt, to construct or sell non-performing SOEs, to improve policy certainty, to reduce red tape and make South Africa a much easier place to do business. The mining industry, through Business for South Africa, has done an enormous amount of work in making a meaningful and proactive contribution to what needs to be done to be competitive and create investment in South Africa. It has been incredibly disappointing that a lack of decisive action has meant that 6 months after the proposals were tabled, we still don't have a coherent and inclusive plan. Government needs to partner with and enable the private sector investment to grow the economy. It can do this by allowing private sector investment into rail, ports, electricity, pipelines, by way of example. The current SOE model has failed the nation, and so SOEs continue to constrain competitiveness and economic growth. These are only a few and low-hanging fruits that could change our economic trajectory within the short term. An outcome of the pandemic that many of you will be aware of is the acceleration of the fourth industrial revolution, or 4IR. Innovation and 4IR technologies have helped the mining industry manage the pandemic more effectively than would have been the case 5 to 10 years ago. Applications that were previously shunned by employees and unions, such as wearables and the remote monitoring of employees, were embraced to ensure the well-being and safety of mine workers as they return to work after lockdown. We have always advocated a people-centered 4IR enhanced approach to modernization of the sector. Using 4IR technologies will also make South African mining and the rest of the economy more globally competitive and ultimately enable mining to make an even larger contribution to our economy and society. Let me deal with where we are as an industry in respect of vaccines. In the words of Professor Kollega Mliasana of the National Health Laboratory Services, it's not vaccines that are going to save us, but vaccinations. And this distinction is an important one. Our collective priority and responsibility as a nation is to get as many jabs in the arms as possible, as quickly as possible, to save lives and livelihoods. We believe that as an industry, we can vaccinate between 60,000 and 80,000 people a day, so around 3 million in 2 months. And that's not just our own workforce of 450,000 people. For every employee we vaccinated, we would envisage vaccinating at least 5 more people, be they employee family members or community members. What does that mean? It means providing safe custody and storage of vaccines, determining eligibility based on medical priorities, administrative backup and record keeping, such as registering who has had the vaccine and when, and ensuring where necessary the second vaccine is done. Providing healthcare personnel and disposables, and of course, monitoring. In addition, massive educational campaigns are required. Our estimates are that the industry will spend around 300 million to vaccinate 3 million people. Using our significant healthcare infrastructure and capacity, the mining industry is willing and able to work collaboratively with government and labor to successfully roll out the vaccination program and save lives and livelihoods.